All right, so a little bit of good news. A few days ago, I talked about the Supreme Court um, striking down affirmative action. Well, and I suggested, and even the person who brought the lawsuit suggested that, maybe we should take on the legacy admissions as well, because how is that any different or any better than affirmative action? Well, a group of activists are doing just that. So, a civil rights group is challenging legacy admissions at Harvard University, saying the practice discriminates against students of color by giving an unfair boost to the mostly white children of alumni. That isn't the tact I thought they were going to take, but that works too. The practice of giving priority to the children of alumni has faced growing pushback in the wake of last week's Supreme Court's decision ending affirmative action in higher education. The NAACP added its weight behind the effort on Monday, asking more than 1,500 colleges and universities to even the playing field in admissions, including by ending legacy admissions. The civil rights complaint was filed Monday by Lawyers for Civil Rights, a nonprofit based in Boston, on behalf of Black and Latino community groups in New England, alleging that Harvard's admission system violates the Civil Rights Act. Why are we rewarding children for privileges and advantages accrued by prior generations, said Ivan Espinoza Madrigal, the group's executive director. Your family's last name and the size of your bank account are not a measure of merit and should have no bearing on the college admissions process. And that's what I thought they were going to go with, was either we have a merit-based college admissions or we don't. Pick one. So, opponents say the practice is no longer defensible without affirmative action providing a counterbalance. The court's ruling says colleges must ignore the race of applicants, activists point out, but schools can still give a boost to children of alumni and donors, which to me is even dumber than affirmative action, because it's not like an affirmative action. They're just, grabbing someone from off the street and saying, hey, how would you like to go to Harvard? You gotta be at least somewhat intelligent. The complaint submitted within the Education Department's Office for Civil Rights draws on Harvard data that came to light amid the affirmative action case that landed before the Supreme Court. The records revealed that 70% of Harvard's donor-related and legacy applicants are white, and being a legacy student makes an applicant roughly 6 times more likely to be admitted, which makes sense because Harvard started before minorities were even allowed. So, yeah, that makes perfect sense. It draws attention to other colleges that have abandoned the practice amid questions about its fairness, including Amherst College and Johns Hopkins University. The complaint alleges that Harvard's legacy preference has nothing to do with merit and takes away slots from qualified students of color. Personally, I would say qualified students, period, but yeah. It asks the U.S. Education Department to declare the practice illegal and force Harvard to abandon it as long as the university receives federal funding. A spot given to a legacy or donor-related applicant is a spot that becomes unavailable to an applicant who meets the admissions criteria based purely on his or her own merit, according to the complaint. If legacy and donor preferences were removed, it adds, more students of color would be admitted to Harvard. Harvard said it would not comment on the complaint. Well, on the one hand, it is ongoing oh my god, I can't talk. It's an ongoing lawsuit, so yeah, I can see why they wouldn't comment, but also, that's kind of the Ivy League schools thing. I'm not aware of just being Harvard. I think it's all the Ivy Leagues that do it. Last week, the university reaffirmed its commitment to the fundamental principle that deep and transformative teaching, learning, and research depend upon a community comprising people of many backgrounds, perspectives, and lived experiences. The university said in a prepared statement. As we said in the weeks and months ahead, the university will determine how to preserve our essential values consistent with the court's new precedent. The complaint was filed on behalf of Chica Project, African Community Economic Development of New England, and the Greater Boston Latino Network. Also Monday, the NAACP launched a campaign aiming to get universities across the nation to promote campus diversity. The group called on 532 public and 1,134 private colleges and universities to end legacy preferences, eliminate racially biased entrance examinations, recruit diverse faculty, and support low-income and first-generation students with scholarships and mentoring, among other steps. Now, if you're wondering what is racially biased about the entrance exams, I think it's basically the essay portions, that they come up with scenarios of what to write about that only, someone of privilege understands the concepts that are involved. So I believe that's what they're talking about. It is our hope that our nation's institutions will stand with us in embracing diversity no matter what, says Derek Johnson, President and CEO of the NAACP. Regardless, the NAACP will continue to advocate, litigate, and mobilize to ensure that every Black American has access to the resources and opportunities they need to thrive. That effort joins another campaign urging the alumni of 30 prestigious colleges to withhold donations until their schools end legacy admissions. That initiative, led by Ed Mobilizer, well, that's an appropriate name, also targets Harvard and other Ivy League schools. President Joe Biden suggested last week that universities should rethink the practice, saying legacy admissions expand privilege instead of opportunity. Absolutely. I mean, obviously, if you're a qualified candidate and you just happen to be legacy, that's fine. But to get in simply because you're legacy or simply because your parents donate, that's problematic. Several Democrats in Congress demanded an end to the policy in light of the court's decision, along with Republicans, including Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, who is vying for the GOP presidential nomination. It's unclear exactly which schools provide a legacy boost and how much it helps. In California, where state law requires schools to disclose the practice, the University of Southern California reported that 14% of last year's admitted students had family ties to alumni or donors. Stanford reported a similar rate. An Associated Press survey of the nation's most selective colleges last year found that legacy students in the freshman class ranged from 4% to 23%. At 4 schools, Notre Dame, USC, Cornell, and Dartmouth, legacy students outnumbered Black students. Supporters of the policy say it builds an alumni community and encourages donations. A 2022 study of an undisclosed college in the Northeast found that legacy students were more likely to make donations, but at a cost to diversity. The vast majority were white. Now, granted, you do want something from your donations, but shouldn't just the fact that you're supporting higher education be enough? I mean, I support the colleges I went to. But I'm not doing it because I expect something in return. I just want to make sure that the future generations have a good education. I don't see why I need to get something out of it. That's just so weird. Let's see. There was something else that I want to mention. What was it? Oh yes. And it wasn't that long ago. It was a couple years ago where there was that scandal where rich people were paying people to take college exams, to standardized tests, so their kids could get into college. And sometimes they were doing it under the auspices um, of athletic scholarships. Really, how is that any different than donating to a college, even if it is because you're an alumnus of that college? Why? How is that different than donating to a college so your kid can get in there? There really isn't that much difference, except for the part about faking someone's academic success. This way, you're just getting the kid in simply because you gave money, but so that's a little less bad, but still. I get that you want to give your kids the best, the best at in everything, but if the kid can't cut it, how are you helping them? I mean, okay, they're going to have that on their resume that they went to Harvard. But if their grades sucked, how is this helpful? Saying that you went to Harvard only matters if you do well. So, yeah, I just do not see how this is even beneficial. It's amazing how if you're a legacy admissions, nobody questions your credentials to getting into that school. But if you're an affirmative action candidate, then they question whether you belong there. That makes no sense. The only difference is that one got in because they're smart and they're a member of the minority group, and the other one, I have not seen any evidence that these people who get in based on legacy actually would have qualified otherwise. So I'm not sure that they're comparable. I really don't. But anyway, I believe that is all there is for this article. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.